The night was dark and silent as I entered the Hooters restaurant to start my late-night shift. The moment I stepped inside, I felt like I was being watched by something unseen. I shook off the feeling and started mopping the floor, trying to ignore the uneasiness that crept over me. As I was finishing up, I noticed a man sitting at the counter. He was dressed in an expensive suit and seemed to be heavily intoxicated. I approached him and informed him that the restaurant was closed, but he didn't respond. I got closer and saw that he had a sinister look on his face. Suddenly, he raised his head and locked eyes with me.
"I've been waiting for you,"
he said in a deep, gravelly voice. I froze in terror as he stumbled toward me.
"I need your help. My wife left me, and I can't live without her. Please, help me get her back."
I tried to back away, but he grabbed my arm with an unnaturally strong grip.
"Come with me,"
he growled, leading me to his car parked outside. As he drove, he kept muttering to himself, his eyes never leaving the road. I tried to make small talk, but he ignored me, his mind seemingly consumed by dark thoughts. We arrived at a large, isolated mansion in the middle of nowhere. He led me inside and gave me some spaghetti to eat. As I ate, he told me the story of how his wife had left him for another man, and how he couldn't live without her. The more he spoke, the more I felt like I was in the presence of evil. Suddenly, he turned to me with a crazed look in his eyes.
"You know what? I've changed my mind. I don't want my wife back anymore. I want you to stay here with me, forever."
I tried to leave, but he blocked the door, his face twisted into a menacing grin.
"You're not going anywhere."
As the night went on, I heard strange noises coming from the house. Whispers, screams, and other sounds that I couldn't identify. I knew I had to get out, but the man had locked me in. I was trapped, alone with a madman. Suddenly, I heard a loud gunshot. My heart racing, I made my way to the source of the noise. As I entered the room, I saw the man lying on the floor, a gun in his hand. His eyes were open, staring straight ahead, lifeless. I realized that I was alone in a house with a dead man, and I had no idea what was going to happen next. All of a sudden, the lights in the entire house went out, and I found myself plunged into complete darkness. The only sounds I could hear were my own breathing and the sound of my heart racing in my chest. I felt a cold breeze brush past me, causing me to shiver. "Hello?" I called out, hoping to hear a response. But there was none. Suddenly, I heard footsteps coming from the hallway, growing louder and closer by the second. I held my breath and listened intently, feeling the fear welling up inside me. The footsteps stopped right outside the bathroom door, and I could hear someone breathing heavily on the other side. I could feel their presence, but I couldn't see anything in the pitch-black darkness. "Who's there?" I whispered, my voice trembling. No response. "Please, if you're there, show yourself," I said, trying to keep the fear out of my voice. But there was still no response. I was about to scream for help when I heard the sound of a match being struck, and a sudden flicker of light illuminated the room. I turned around to see a figure holding a lit candle. It was a man from earlier, the one who had paid me to stay the night. But something was different about him. His eyes had turned black, and his face was twisted in a grotesque, evil expression.
"I've been waiting for you. You were supposed to be mine."
I tried to back away, but he stepped forward, blocking my path.
"You see, my dear, I'm not like other men. I have a darkness inside me. A hunger that can only be satisfied by the blood of beautiful women like you."
I screamed and tried to run past him, but he grabbed me by the hair and dragged me back into the bathroom. I struggled and fought with all my might, but it was no use. The last thing I remember was the feeling of his cold, lifeless hands wrapped around my neck, choking the life out of me. And then everything went black. I don't know how long I was unconscious, but when I woke up, I was lying in a hospital bed. The police told me that they had found me in the bathtub, covered in blood, with no memory of what had happened. The man who had paid me to stay the night was never found, and his wife's body was never identified. To this day, I still have nightmares about that night, about the man with the black eyes and the hunger for beautiful women. And I always wonder if he's still out there, waiting for his next victim.